A long time ago, I was a bit of a troll on the internet. And that returns today as we explore the question what your favorite tabletop war game says about you. And of course, we have to start out with the most popular game out there because why not? Given the rich, dark lore of the 40K universe, this is a place where you can truly craft your own narrative within a much bigger story. You know that Games Workshop loves to brag about how they want to put you in the story and make you and everything you do kind of its own unique aspect of this gameplay. But of course, you've got no time for that. Because what you really know is the power creep of this game is so crazy, and the fact that the meta for the tournaments is changing every month, just playing your run-of-mill street Warhammer is good enough for you. For you see, the only reason your miniatures actually have paint on them is to meet that very stupid 3 minimum color requirement for the local tournament. However, you are managed to outsmart the local tournament organizer and are able to convince him that colored spray primer actually counts as a base coat, and therefore you really only have 2 layers of paint on your miniature. Besides, the real reason you play this game is not about the cool miniatures, the fact that they're the best that basically have ever been made. It's really about the fact that you want to kick the face in of every opponent you meet on the other side of the tabletop, even if that's somebody who just bought their first starter box. Heck, even GW kind of agrees with you unofficially. Several years ago, when they wanted to make the game play faster, all they really did was make things die faster. And why even bother to play a full 3-hour game when you can decide the fate of an entire tournament with a single initiative die roll? Even though 40K is the second oldest miniature game still on the market, I guess Old World doesn't really count right now, does it? That threw a monkey wrench into my script. Anyway, if this is your most favorite game, you've probably only been playing it since maybe 2017 at the oldest. The reality is Warhammer 40K has been at least 3 distinct games over its lifespan, and all the old guard have probably sworn off the, quote, modern version of Warhammer 40K. A new and bigger type of Space Marine? What a load of horse these old veterans will say. The level of hate from them is very strong, but it is no match for the typical amount of hate you're going to find on your average Warhammer 40,000 fan site. And you know what? Despite the fact that everyone else's army is broken all the time, you continue to play the game that you truly love. If you're thinking, but Jason, Games Workshop's YouTube channels, well, their comments are also positive and uplifting. And you know how awful and trashy this place really can be. And yes, I really do, especially if you're back, say, 2007, 2010. If you think it's bad now, try to go into a time travel machine and head back to then. But there's a good reason why these comments seem so amazing about their games, because Games Workshop is only slightly less authoritarian when it comes to running their YouTube channel as the Chinese Communist Party. Kind of makes you wonder what would happen if you decided to post a comment trying to compare Kevin Roundtree, the CEO of GW, to Winnie the Pooh. A lot of people want to say that Warhammer 40,000 is just way too expensive. Some miniatures cost over $100, but none of that bothers you. You justify the purchase of more plastic crack by selling last month's meta army on eBay for, I don't know, let's say about 50% off. Come to think of it, if you buy all your products with cash, this could be a great way to launder some dirty, ill-gotten money. At the end of the day, if none of these policies or prices bother you, then by all means continue to enjoy the game that you find absolutely amazing. The miniatures are fantastic, and the story is freaking awesome as well. Besides, anyway, at the current rate, Games Workshop has about 500 million reasons per year, keyword per year, not to change anything about how they operate. We are traveling back in time to the days of wooden ships and iron men. And while we're getting in our time machine, we also got to head back to a time when the brand Avalon Hill was not about Hero Quest and a botched HeroScape relaunch, but epic military simulations. Played correctly, these games would take approximately an order of magnitude longer than the actual war you're trying to recreate. Then we encounter a bit of a paradox, not because we're time traveling, but because if you've ever been to a local games convention where the headline game was not Games Workshop or Magic the Gathering, you've almost certainly heard people talk about how awesome this game was and how much fun they had playing it when they're younger. However, you've never actually seen anyone playing it at the said convention. Even stranger, if you try and sell this game at a games convention, longtime gamers will regale you with the stories of their long ago high seas adventures. And they will tell you the same tale convention after convention because they don't remember they're talking to the same vendor each year. Despite these long ago fond memories coming back up when they see this on display, no one ever wanted to buy my copy of the game. So it makes me wonder if your long ago love for this game is really just misplaced nostalgia. Perhaps it's kind of like the time I decided to watch a Transformers cartoon that I enjoyed as a kid on Netflix. I ruined part of my childhood that day. Either way, if you want to relive the romantic days of a pirate plundering the British crown, lead a failed French attack against the British fleet, or heck, take control of a Second Amendment approved, privately owned warship after a botched invasion of Canada, then sail on, my friends. Promised to be Privateer Press Warhammer 40k to its War Machine, this incredibly ambitious game didn't exactly have the kind of start any company would really want. Being one of the most, if not the most innovative miniature war games since Battletech, this game likely strayed a bit far from the cookie cutter mold that is Warhammer 40k, and I feel for all of you guys who feel that this is their most favorite game of all time. Its most unique feature was its warp gate system that basically allows you to reincarnate your dead soldiers over and over again. It's frickin' bad that Privateer Press wrote an entire science fiction franchise to explain how modern first-person shooter video games could actually work in real life. Now, you true fans of this game, you recognize how to use these warp gates to play Warcaster kind of like a Euro-style board game with area of control and worker placement, except with giant robots and even more violence. In fact, lots of violence, because Euro games don't have much in that way. Not usually, anyway. But this kind of makes me wonder if the fans of Warcaster NeoMechanika are also huge fans of Scythe. Unfortunately, for many players that were not you, they struggled to understand why they could kill the enemy army 6 times over before their bodies hit the ground and still lose the game. Warcaster's objective-based gameplay denied these killbot players with their most important tactical advantage: looking up army lists on the internet. Every now and then, I see a post in a Facebook group claiming that a new army for Warcaster NeoMechanika is coming out, and for everyone's sake, I hope that's true. At this point now, if you absolutely hate me, I have a great way for you to take that anger out. For you see, I sell 3D printable gaming miniatures over at fracturedcolony.com. Go ahead, purchase a couple of those STL files, 3D print them out, break them into a million pieces, and for bonus points, go ahead and record that, post it on social media, and remind everybody that you're destroying fracturedcolony.com's gaming miniatures. Or you could just post in the comments below how I stole this entire bit from another YouTube channel. For the last game today, I thought I would choose something maybe just a little bit more unifying, although perhaps just a bit old school. Now, of course, I know that Dungeons & Dragons is primarily a role-playing game, and I also know there have been a number of tabletop war games released under that brand, but I'm not talking about any of those. For you see, the true fan of Dungeons & Dragons I'm talking about here is the normal person. The kind of person who has no idea what goes on with real miniature wargaming, and if they see something on the tabletop that doesn't look like something they saw in the toy aisle, they assume it must be Dungeons & Dragons. We have all met this person some point when we're playing with our little toy soldiers in public. Giant robots being supported by tanks must be Dungeons & Dragons. Space Marines with power armor ripping the heads off demons or giant bugs, that's also Dungeons & Dragons. And you better believe that time in 2016 when there was a mock human sacrifice outside the Large Hadron Collider, just Dungeons & Dragons. Definitely nothing demonic or satanic going on there. It's likely that people take this approach because they want to feel smart around the gaming crowd. Because we know that our average IQ is much higher than that of the normal population, but in the end, it never actually makes them look smart, it just makes them look like a total phony. And we know this is their plan because the knowledge of Dungeons & Dragons has never helped anyone get, well, anyway, let's just move on from here. To be honest though, I might be dating myself a little bit with this one because I think these kind of D&D fans, they might be a bit of a thing of the past. In the modern era, you can find all sorts of Euro trash in your board game aisle at the grocery store. Science fiction is actually kind of cool, and even Trump's fanboys turned him into a 19-foot tall statue based on the Emperor of Mankind from Warhammer 40k. That last one is a little weird, guys. It's a little weird. I guess the days of our undisputed intellectual superiority, thanks to our secret nerd lore, are finally coming to an end. Oh well, it was fun while it lasted. So thank you guys all for watching. I'm Jason, the creator of the Tabletop Battlefield. If you want to check out my gaming miniatures, they're over at fracturedcolony.com. That'll take you to my Etsy store where you can buy them, but that's just an easy way to get there. If you actually enjoyed this video, post some comments below about what games I need to make fun of next. Otherwise, you're going to get to hear about which Chaos Demon God your favorite politician worships.